And we are live. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Love and Golf, a podcast about our romantic, passionate, and sometimes twisted love affair with the game and the valuable lessons it's given us and what we give back to it. Now, my next guest is a man who needs no introduction, but I'm going to do it anyways because that's just what I do. When we think of building a business, we all have this romantic idea of what it could become. At least I do. The colossal impact that we could have in the behemoth that we could grow it into. You know, when Travis Miller started PGA Memes, I have no idea if he thought a meme page would become a golf juggernaut and grow into the media company it is today. He is a great example that there's magic in just starting. Just begin somewhere and grow organically. To follow your passion at the same time, also maybe not quit your day job. Travis is the creator and mastermind behind PGA Memes. We all know that very well. But more so, he's a digital marketing and social media specialist who's leveraged his talents not only to grow his own business, but the golf industry as a whole. What first started as a meme page has evolved into a globally known golf media brand with several operations, including but not limited to a YouTube channel, podcast, multiple accounts, social media accounts, a merchandise store, golf tournaments and meetups, and more. More impressive than all of this is probably his philanthropic contribution. Travis recently donated $1 million to a North Texas Children's Hospital to help with their expansion. The list goes on and on and on. Travis, brother, thank you for coming on and welcome to Love and Golf.
Yeah, man, it's my pleasure. That's quite the introduction. I appreciate it.
Well, I was going to say, it is a long list. You're a personal friend and you've helped with Mully and what we've done. So I want to thank you there. But I had to do a little research to kind of know the man behind the legend, the man behind the myth. And there's just so much that you've done in the world of golf. And I've got millions of questions, and I think we're going to get into a lot of them. But the first one that I want to hit on, man, is it's the $1 million question to throw out early in the front of this. Did you ever think, when you first started a meme page, in the sea of memes in social media, did you ever think that you'd be was PGA Memes a thought that you grow into this today, or was it just fun?
No, so it was not. I did not think that it would be what it is today, but I knew that there was some outlook that could be something, because prior to PGA Memes, the first Instagram or social media page that I created was called Hiss a Lot, and that was dumb luck too, where a couple of my friends and I picked up an idea that one of our older friends had, where he was pranking people with a rubber snake. And in Texas, there's a lot of copperhead snakes out, and obviously Arizona, there's a lot of rattlesnakes. And my friend injured his back and he wasn't playing anymore. And so we went a year or so without these pranks, but they always became a staple in what we did. And it was so funny to see the reactions. And I went and got one of these snakes and we pranked one of our good friends, and the reaction was just so pure and genuine. And we laughed for 30 minutes. And at the time we're like, man, we got to post these reactions. We started getting a few more, got the cart girl, got a couple other friends. And within 2 months, the page was blowing up. It was at NFL players, NBA players hitting me up where do I buy one of these? And I got featured on the Golf Channel. And I was like, dude, this is crazy. I'm this everyday guy. I had a corporate job, and I started to get a taste of what the internet could be. And we started selling the snakes, kind of got a wholesale deal with somebody who already had made these snakes, and the page blew up. To me, it wasn't my passion though. My passion wasn't to go get fake rattlesnakes and scare people by any means. But a funny story I've told very few people, but I'm at dinner with a client in LA. We're at some bougie restaurant, and I had a storefront for Hiss a Lot, and there weren't very many orders happening, Michael. There were 8 a day or 6 a day or something happening.
Yeah.
And the margins weren't crazy, but it was cool supplemental income. And I'm at this restaurant one day and my phone's blowing up. It literally,
bing, bing, bing.
If the definition of your phone exploding was this was it. And I'm like, what is going on? And I peek to look at my phone, and I've got over 1,000 orders, and this thing's just blowing. I'm like, okay, what? So I can't do much. I'm at dinner with the CEO of my company's with me. I'm with this big client.
Guys, hold on a second. My snake's business is popping off.
Yeah. So I'm like, I got to use the restroom real quick. I'd go peek. I'm like, it's still going. And then when I got back to the hotel, I'm like, how is this thing happening? Where did this blow up? Yeah. All my Instagram posts were the same. Like there wasn't one post that just skyrocketed through the algorithm. And I found out like after an hour and a half of like scouring everything that it was a Facebook post. I had a very small Facebook page with Hits a Lot, but there was a
Hmm.
Facebook post that went to like 30 million views, and it
Shit.
had a call to action on there with like a 20% discount, and everyone was buying them. And it was like insane. And at the time, my wife and I were like packaging and shipping these out of the garage, and I didn't
Yeah.
like my inventory was like 60. So I'm like on the phone with this company, like, hey, can I get 2,000 of these things? They're like, who are you? And what, but like, so that's kind of how it started. So when I started PGA Memes, it was just for fun. I love memes. I still do to this today. Like outside of golf, I follow a lot of other pages and find so much humor in them.
Yeah.
They relate to all of us in one way or the other. And you find yourself sometimes when you're like traveling, like I do, and you're in a hotel room, or even if you're at home at night and you're trying to veg out, maybe sometimes you lose yourself on the internet. Well, for me, like lose myself maybe sometimes on meme pages, and I'll share them with a lot of friends, maybe some family members, my wife, and they crack me up because they can pertain to so many different things. Like I sent one of
Yeah.
to my wife today of a toddler saying that they didn't need to go to the or they didn't go to the bathroom, but their diaper has this huge load in the back, and like it's like exactly like our daughter. But like to me, I was like, there's nothing like this in golf. There was a few
Yeah.
pages like our mutual friend Sean. He's like one
Yep.
of the OGs that had an Instagram
Yep.
page. He had a lot of like different types of posts. So he would occasionally throw a meme out there, but the other stuff was touching all aspects of golf, as his page currently still is. But so I was like, man, there's nothing that just all memes really. And I like searched and PGA Memes was available, believe it or not. And I was like, all right, this is it. So I started it. Didn't really know what I was doing for like the
What
first
year?
month.
Give us some context. What year was it?
It was January of 2018. And so really like for a couple months, I kind of just was doing it just to kind of as a hobby. And then I was like, man, golf is this individual sport that is way different than football and NBA, where like you can make fun of a team and a city and the legacy of those teams. And, it can definitely like hurt the fan, but it's not going to like be crazy at the player. And there were some memes that were like that, right? And you see that today where like NFL memes attacks like Deshaun Watson or, certain players for a variety of things. Um, the the golf world was different. It's personal.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I saw this opportunity too where it was like, I love golf. I got into it at a later age, but like I love golf for like the banter of playing with your friends on the weekend and like gambling or having some drinks and, just making fun of each other, but also lifting each other up when you hit a good shot. And so like most of what was posted was going to be around that spoke to
Hmm.
that audience. But for me, I think what set myself apart, but like really got some traction was I would go hard at players. I'd go hard at, different companies that I thought were kind of being silly or marketing in the wrong way or something. And I just, people were like, wow, golf is this gentleman's sport. And it's also really funny. But when you break down the surface, it's a rowdy sport. It doesn't really, it really isn't like a gentleman's sport. It's like just a bunch of degenerates playing with each other, men and women. And then also on the professional level, no one had really gone at these guys like I had. So
Hmm.
it really ruffled some feathers and got some movement. And then the next thing you know, like Golf Digest is doing an interview with me, and all these pros are following me and like sending me messages of like, yeah, you should make fun of this guy more, or like you're
Are you
spot on with
serious?
this. Oh
People
yeah, and
were
I was
saying you should
like,
do that.
oh yeah, and I was like, dude, this is pretty wild. I'm like, okay, I'm onto something, and that was the moment where I knew because of like the Hisala origins, like, okay, there's something here. The internet's a wild place,
Yeah.
but I have this extensive background we could talk about with marketing and sales and stuff and operations too. I've always been like a hybrid.
Yeah.
And so I put together like a business plan of like how I could turn this into a media platform and how I can touch different bases that would be beneficial for brands to invest in this platform, and ensure ROI, and then find a way to give back to a charitable cause, um, find a way to help upcoming brands that are trying to emerge into the golf space, because I saw a lot of that. And I was very fortunate because you know when you have a plan and you stick to it, or a goal and you stick to it, I mean, it really does change everything. You've got to be committed to it. And that's exactly what I did. But I was afforded the opportunity to have a great career that I was kind of on cruise control with. Like, I could do the
You're
job
talking
with
about
my eyes closed.
before the media company. You were
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
some
I was,
smart home stuff, right? Sales for a
yeah.
smart
So I
home.
was doing that forever, and I could do it with my eyes closed at this point. So it afforded me the opportunity to really like build both simultaneously.
Hmm.
And not everybody has that opportunity. Sometimes when people want to start a platform or start a company, they have to quit what they're doing right away, and they've got to go get investment dollars, or they got to spend their own money. And I understand that grind. I understand the stress and the pressure that it can put on you and
Hmm.
your family. So, I was fortunate to skid through a lot of that and be able to do what I did, but while still having a good income, and then ultimately get to a point where, hey, my income through PJ Memes and everything I was doing superseded what my career was doing, and I could just step away and like officially retire from that industry and go into something that I was passionate about and love doing. So
Because you couldn't do both, right? Like you knew there was a moment, there was like a tipping point where, in order to grow PJ Memes and the media side of it all, and the other brands within under the umbrella, you'd have to step away from the 9 to 5.
yeah, because like when I first started, I didn't put the cart before the horse in terms of trying to like monetize this thing and do all this
Hmm.
crazy
Hmm.
stuff and then be on
Yeah,
camera. I was like, hey, let's continue to make funny content. Let's grow the brand. Let's do some stuff. And then ultimately, when I started doing more like content where I was like on camera or like had to do more stuff, like it was like, okay, this is touch and go, because I also have a very important job. I was, a VP at a big company, and I didn't want my leadership team or even the people who work for me to think that I was one foot out the door or I wasn't like focused, because that wasn't the case.
yeah,
But I was trying to build something that I thought was going to be good, for me and my family and our future outlook. And obviously your boss or your employer doesn't want to hear that, right? So like I kind of tried to toe the line there. But
yeah.
then the big advantage for me is golf boomed during COVID, obviously, like everyone knows that. But for me, my boss was a huge germaphobe. And so he immediately like grounded all of us. Like none of us could fly, none of us could travel, none of us could go to the office. We had a big company, it was like 1,000 employees, and all the call center people were way spread out, took over a lot of like executive offices and stuff. But for me, it was like work from home. You can do everything
Yeah,
you can on Zoom.
yeah.
And I just kept traveling and I kept doing my thing with golf. And it really helped me expedite everything I needed to do in this space. And I started doing more stuff on camera, more opportunities started presenting itself. And then, when the world opened back up and everyone started traveling again, and my boss kind of gave everybody the green light, get to the point where it was like, okay, what do I do? And
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
I had already built a pretty good income stream and a good outlook of what that income stream could become.
Yeah,
And so I sat down with the leadership team, and it was they were like, they kind of started to know what was going on, and it was like, what do you
they
want to
knew.
do?
Yeah, they knew.
And
So
I was like, I want to stay. I want to do this, and give me 30 days, and I'll help you with the transition, and I'm going to just step into
yeah,
this full time.
dude, I've got so many questions that I don't even know where to start. I'm almost gonna like just throw some shit at you. But first of all, I mean, there's a massive congratulations, Trav, because it's just, I know as an entrepreneur, it's so hard just to start. And I get asked questions all the time, like, how did you do this? And how did you start? And people think there's just like, you need a massive plan just to start. And sometimes the plan comes right after you start, or you just got to get on the playing field.
Mhm.
Before we talk about how you did that, and before we talk about everything that would unfold, I'm curious personally, like, did you always love golf? Like, was golf always a part of your life? Like, I mean, even when you're working the 9 to 5, the sales job, like college, before that, when did you first get introduced to golf? And like, what is it? Like, when did you know you loved it? Or
No, that's a good question. It's actually kind of interesting answer too, because I started a company with some friends and like it was really like a few friends and their family, and we had a executive suite, and we ended up growing that into like pretty much a floor in this building. And when we leased all this space, we were on a golf course in Utah, and part of that lease gave us unlimited access to the driving range, like anytime we wanted, and then 2 free rounds of golf a week for our company. I worked in that office for 2 years, I never stepped foot on the driving range or the golf course. Like
Not
never,
once.
not once, because at that age, I think like client golf wasn't really like
So
in
you
my
didn't even play. You didn't play growing up. You didn't even play.
never. No, I played football. I played baseball. I was always an athlete and played sports, but I never played golf. Matter of fact, I'd make fun of the kids in high school that played golf because I was a bigger baseball player, and
Yeah.
I'd see the guys
Same
playing
season.
golf. And
Yeah.
my school wasn't very big in baseball, but I wanted to recruit more players, and I'd be like, dude, don't waste your time playing golf. Like, come play on the baseball team. Like, it's awesome. Like, and I just never understood it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had all this opportunity, and it was a great course in Utah, but I never used those benefits. And when I moved to Texas, I had left that company and transitioned to the corporate side. I got recruited to the company we were selling our contracts to,
Yeah.
and they needed somebody that was an entrepreneur to run their national dealer program and help these dealers implement it, like their sales and marketing strategies. But they wanted someone that could do it, that had walked the walk, that had been in their shoes and had been in the trenches. And so that was me. I was that guy. So I was like 25 at the time, and it was a big role. I was excited about it, but part of that role was whining and dining and getting to
Yeah.
build relationships with like primarily the top 20 partners or so.
Cute golf. Yeah. Cute golf
Yeah.
world.
So like I realized quickly that all of them loved golf, or most of them. And it was pretty cool. I got to travel the country and visit these companies. We did a lot of work. We rolled up our sleeves and
Right. Yeah.
did the hard work in the office. But when it came time to like build the relationships and then report them, opposed to like going to a nice dinner, going to a nightclub,
Mm-hmm.
I'd find local golf clubs in the area, and we'd go get a tee time with me and their core leaders, and we'd spend 5-6 hours together.
How bad were you when you first started? Like on a scale of 1 to horrible.
Pretty bad. I mean, I could make contact, but the slice, because of baseball and everything, was just, so I'd be the guy who'd aim tremendously left and find the middle of the fairway. And
This is all good context for me to know, because this is where like this is where the inspiration for the memes come from. This is
yeah.
basically you're making fun of yourself.
Oh yeah, like because like you hear all the jokes that people say to you when you hit a bad shot, or you
Yep.
swing and miss, or you duff a shot. Like you get the humor that you always hear, but like in every group has their own things they say, right? And every player has their own problems they face on the golf course. But I found myself playing with guys that were much better than me, obviously, out of the gate, and they like to bet. And I would jump in on those bets. I lost a lot of money in the beginning. I was never given the ample amount of strokes that I was probably deserved getting, but it taught me to learn quick, and I'm
And they
competitive.
loved you.
So I got to the point where one year I played like 200 plus rounds of golf, and I lived by a golf course and I was practicing a lot. I got down to a 7 index, and that's the best I ever got. Right now I'm playing at like a 9-10 index. And I got to the point where I was pretty good. I mean, my low is like 75.
Wow.
I've never really gotten lessons before, or just kind of like self-made and just do it. So I don't have a pretty swing, but I can make it work. And, but yeah, like I fell in love with golf through those first few years, because it took me to it didn't matter where the course was. I always felt like it was peaceful. You're outside, you're out in an office, typically with people who you enjoy. Even when you get paired up with strangers, you get to, meet people who have similar interests as you. And I don't know, just felt like those experiences were pretty cool. And a lot of people who I've been paired up with as a single, some people I still talk to and have relationships with. And I just thought golf was cool, man. It was something where I could see myself being competitive again and learning at an older
Yeah.
age, where like you have to give up on the baseball and the football and all that stuff when you get older, and you start developing just that fanhood on the TV. And that's
Mm-hmm.
still cool and all, but like as adults, even when you're like 50, 60 years old, you still have that competitive drive, and you want
For
to get
sure.
out there and try to bring some of that athleticism out in you. And that's what I found in golf. So I just fell in love with it quick.
So that it was the internal athlete in you that really latched to it first, you would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a lot. I was the kid you made fun of in high school because I played high school golf, which is totally cool. But what's cool about it, and I think the thread in the whole podcast series is I'm trying. Like, I refer to golf as this muse. It's like this goddess that we all have a relationship with, and we all find her in a unique way, and she gives us unique gifts, and we give back to it. And clearly, the athlete in you was what bonded you to it, the game. And I respect that because I've been an athlete. I played a lot of sports growing up too. And it's something that, it's funny that I actually lost some passion for golf recently playing it
Yeah.
because I was always the one who loved playing, but I was doing everything else other than golf as a business. And now that I have Mully and even consulting work that's in golf, I'm so consumed with it. It's like, dude, I want to break from it.
Yeah.
Until I found out like different ways to play. That's a whole other topic. But so what started for you as like this way to grow your book of business and your relationships in business and take clients out and wine and dine them. It bit you and then slowly gave birth. Like when did you, like you said 2018, but there was like the meme. Were you following other meme accounts like NFL memes or MLB memes and like there's something needs like this be for golf? Like,
Yeah, no, for sure. There's a NFL memes underscore IG. That's their big one. And they do great stuff. And then NBA memes, which that page got taken down for some reason. I'm not sure, but they had great content. And, I follow various teams, and then you see the meme humor and stuff. And
mhm.
I found a lot of humor in that. Then I'd see those memes that were on the golf pages too, that would pop up regularly. And they were pretty much like stock memes that were
Yeah.
they were still funny, and they could still be
Yeah.
funny to this day. But I just started thinking about it, and I started seeing what was happening with some of the other leagues. And I was like, man, there's some opportunity here with the way, Patrick Reed, the drama there, the Smiley Kaufman miscut like streak. You've got the way Ian Poulter presented himself and with his crazy hair.
Did
And
you ever have beef with these guys? Side note, like did you like? I remember there was like the Patrick Reed saga and like over the pandemic, right? And then you met him.
Yeah, I mean, I went hard at a handful of guys, and I've met all of them now besides Smiley. And after I've had the opportunity to meet them, and as I've grown in this and built this up, like obviously I toe the line and try to respect the individuals a little more in a way, because I understand really what goes into their craft. It's
Mm-hmm.
more than just like what we do going out on Saturday and playing. Like, it's easy to make fun of us because this isn't our livelihood, and if we suck, we suck. But the next round, maybe one hole or whatever, we put it together and we play good, and
Mm-hmm.
makes you want to come back. Well, with these guys, it really is a grind, and like they're fighting for their lives out there. They play, they miss cuts, they spend like tons of money, not only for themselves but their whole crew, their family, to go out there. If they make the cut, they may not make a lot of money, they may make a lot, who knows? But then it's like that Sunday night or Monday morning, they're flying to the next city to go play, and it's a grind. They don't just go play 9 holes and go home and party and stuff. Like, they play 18 holes, they practice, then they go to the practice area, the short game area. They're working till the sun goes down. It's incredible to see these guys. And
Yeah.
it goes to prove like why they're so good. Like, they are completely obsessed with the game. They know the intricacies of everything with the swing. I mean, they're with their coaches, their team, their trainers, you name it. I mean, it's just insane what goes into it. And like, getting closer to that, the more I've like grown to appreciate
Mm-hmm.
them as individuals. But
Mm-hmm.
I would say, out of everybody that I've like had beef with, like Ian Poulter, Lee Westwood, Patrick Reed, Smiley Kaufman, some of these guys, like I could say that I'm pretty much friends with all of them, but without Smiley right now. Like, Smiley, I haven't had a chance to really meet. He's probably the person who I beat up the most. Um, but like, at the same time, I feel like I really only crossed the line with him like maybe one time. I
Yeah. Yeah.
feel like beyond that, as a professional athlete, like, you're on that stage and there's going to be people who ridicule you, or like
Totally.
make jokes about your performance and stuff. And that just comes with the territory. He
Well,
just didn't
the
have
internet's a dangerous place. I mean, the
it.
internet now. I mean, everyone's got an opinion. Everyone's a critic. So
It is, and it goes well beyond a meme page. But at the end of the day, like, I certainly didn't make it any better for him. And I mean, do I regret like my involvement in a lot of this? Of course I do. Like, I have my regrets with
you
it, but
do.
I'm like, at the end of the day, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, when you run a meme page, you're going to make fun of people who are either playing poorly, or you're going to make fun of a moment that happens, whether it's like a rules infraction with Patrick Reed, or even something stupid that Tiger or Rory do, like, who are guys who are very likable. In the grand scheme of things, like, there's opportunity to make fun of each and every one of these guys. And
Yeah.
unfortunately for Smiley, like, out of him and Stephen Bowditch, like, those were the only two guys that were like regularly missing cuts and regularly playing bad. And So that's where it just kind of sucked, where it was like beating a dead horse. And I
Yeah.
think I probably just, took it too far. And listen, I mean, Smiley's doing well. He's got a great broadcasting career ahead of him, and I think he's in a good spot. So I wish him well.
Yeah. I think I would love to see him meet you and see what that. It's kind of be similar like to when you first met Patrick Reed, though. I mean, like, what was that like when you met him? Because he knew who you were.
Yeah, I mean, I had a relationship with Kessler, his caddy, who was
Yeah.
also his brother-in-law for a little while before I even met Patrick, and we'd go back and forth often. We even exchanged numbers, and like, great dude. And like, it made me like feel bad sometimes about joking about things with Patrick, and then there'd be times where I would, and he'd text or something, be like, "Oh man,
Would
that's
you
my
ever
boy." Like,
joke and then he'd text you? He would text you after and be like,
yeah,
"Hey,
or,
dude,
yeah, like,
what the fuck's that about?"
not like that. He'd just be like, "That's my boy, man. Come on," or whatever. Or like, and it
Okay. Yeah.
like we kept a good dialogue, good relationship, and then we were in Vegas at the CJ Cup in 2021. So I believe that's later in the year. And met him off of one of the greens. I was there to work with CJ and BB Go, and I met him, and like, was super nice. Like, and obviously, like, one thing I will say is the worst thing you can do as one of these players is to like fight back at a meme or like in the comment section, or fight back at a keyboard warrior, because you're not going to win. Like, that's an argument you're never going to win, because you're going to get ganged up on. So
Hmm.
like, if you embrace the joke and make fun of yourself, it's a way to like get people to like be like, oh, at least he can laugh at himself, or you can play along with it. Like, from a PR perspective, if I'm representing anybody, like, that's what I would tell them is just go along with it. Maybe be silent, don't say anything. But if you want to
Yeah.
just like interact, go along with it, make fun of yourself, and move on. And like, honestly, that page or that person will probably become a fan of you, and it will die. But like, he was super nice. We talked about 20 minutes or so. And then a couple months later, I went out to Saudi to go to the Asian Tour event. And this was before Live emerged. And I got to see him again. And I ended up walking 9 holes with him and Kessler. Got to know each other a little bit more. I mean, since then, he's just been incredibly nice. Like, I mean, I know that he comes with his baggage, and there's some, drama that he has amongst other players, and you name it. But I can tell everybody, like, my personal experiences with him and his brother-in-law have been nothing but pleasant. And I also know a few of my other friends who are around him often, and have say the same thing. So I just, to me, like, he's a guy that getting to know him personally has definitely changed my perspective of him as a person.
Hmm.
I don't have, I'm not on the course. I don't know what's going on with rules and fractions, or what people are doing here and there, but like, at the end of the day, like, I'm going to make humor and jokes out of what I see and what the narrative is. But for him personally, like, he's been a great dude.
Yeah. I've noticed your page has taken because I've followed you for a long time. We became friends over the pandemic. You've reposted some of the Mully stuff we've done. I've noticed your page has taken a turn. I mean, it's a little bit different than what it was, and you're getting heavily into content now. I love the home course series. I think I'm not going to say Cam Smith's success was because of you, but ever since you went to his house and did his thing, Cam Smith just, like won the Players after that, won the British Open after that. Signs a live contract. So, I mean, out of everyone, I'd love you to talk about like the evolution of that, going from memes into the media side of things. Again, trying to have the listeners and everyone out there kind of learn from your story and your relationship with this game, because Travis, like you said, you didn't see it all from day one.
Yeah.
It was a hobby, it turned into a business idea, turned into a business plan, turned into execution, and then the growth. And I think that's the big takeaway for anyone, right? Is you definitely need a plan, but also you need to iterate and adapt and grow off of what's working. So you knew that the fun side of golf was working. You knew that the lens of like that old stuffy old man rich white sport was fading. At least I mean we talk about that too. It's like that was an old stigma that is clearly being abolished right now with the rise of all these cool sub brands and golf being heavily influenced by basketball culture, skate culture, pop culture.
Sure.
But bro, you had your hand in that, So how did you? I guess the question directly asked is when did the media side come about? How did you have the idea for home course, and then do you think that Cam Smith is as successful as he is because of you?
So I'll say this. I the advice I'd give to anybody, and I see everybody like doing the opposite of this, is when you start a platform on the internet, if that's what you want to do, or even a brand, is like you have to be unique. You have to be different. Like you have to be yourself. And that's what I did when I started PGA Memes. Is I wasn't trying to be anybody. Now, certainly, I did learn some things or wittiness or some clever jokes from, maybe I got inspiration from NBA memes or NFL memes or even like Shithead Steve or some of these other big meme pages that are out
Yeah.
there. Like Doing Things Media is a huge platform that has like hundreds of pages with millions of followers, and like they can have like Middle Class Fancy, which is a page that's making fun of like, suburban mom and dads, but like you can look at a meme and be like, how can I turn that into golf, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it was really like virgin territory, I think, in the space when I started doing like a meme page in golf. And so I really made it exclusively my content. So
And bro,
everything that I did,
just sorry to interrupt you, just for everyone can listen and can understand too, is I remember because I followed you from the beginning, you were never front and center for the longest time. Like you had
never.
no idea who Travis Miller was. Like you were so far removed. And I remember like once and twice your face would show up on like a IG story. You're like, wait,
Mhm.
who the fuck is that? And you're totally right. You were full. Wow, you were solely focused on just the community and the content. This was never like a Travis Miller get rich, get famous scheme ever.
Yeah, and that's another mistake people can make is like, so for me, it's creating your own identity and doing something that's original. And so that was
For sure.
important to me. So for the longest time, every meme that was posted was mine. Like I created it out of this brain and like I posted it myself and whatever. And as it grew and got bigger and bigger, like I never wanted to make this about myself. Like I didn't want to be like, okay, now it's my opportunity to be popular or like famous or something. So like let me make it about myself. I knew that would be detrimental because like people aren't following PJ Memes for Travis Miller, like, or anyone else on my team. They're following it for the jokes. And so being careful to toe that line is important as well. But I want to say,
How did you
like,
switch into it? Like how did where was the when did you know? I
well,
mean, I don't want to ruin any trade secrets here, but I don't want to give
no,
anything
no. I
away you
mean,
don't
I,
want to
I
give
had
away.
I had a plan for two things. I mean, I knew I wanted to develop long form content, but I didn't want to be just like everybody else. Like I had a lot of people pushing me to be like a regular type of YouTuber, like, oh, yeah, I should go do this like 2v2 match and go do this and that and go out and do YouTube, and I'm like, no, like I personally don't really even like watching golf too much on TV, let alone watching YouTubers golf. I'm like, I don't want to go do it because that's what everybody else is doing. And plus, I'm not like a scratch golfer. Like I make fun of people for a living for golf. The last thing I want is my audience now making fun of me because I suck worse than everybody else. So, so I knew what I wanted to do, and I had the idea for like the MTV Cribs type of show for a long time. But you got to know when you can do things and do it the right way. Like for me, I wanted to do it where it was made for TV type of quality. I wanted to do it where I had the means necessary to do it, the right way and have the pull to source the right talent and all that stuff. And so I had that in my plan, but it was well down the road. It wasn't something that I was like, okay, I love this idea. I'm going to start doing it next month. Like I knew it was a year away or whatever. But as I kept growing, I want to say, like, not saying this like egotistically or anything like that, but I truly was like a trailblazer in terms of like the meme creation in the golf space. And there's been so many other great pages and creators that have come since PJ Memes started that are great pages. And a lot of them do original content and do a great
Yeah.
job. And so like I always knew it'd get to a point where like as I started to diversify and do more things like live events or production or media consulting and all that stuff, I knew I wasn't going to be able to create all the memes myself. And at the end of the day, this is a really good opportunity where I can pick the top level memes that I see out there that are like hilarious.
Yeah.
And I can somewhat transition this page to be like 50% like creative content that's ours, 50% that's aggregated content that I share. And I always give credit to the creator. And it
Mhm.
helps them. It helps them grow their brand. They'll continue to share their ideas. And sometimes I like their idea, but I'm like, hey, let's make that a little better or different and tweak it or do something like that and still give them credit. But like from a creative standpoint on the memes, like that's where I knew I had to transition over time because you can only do so much. And I have people running these other pages I have now, but with PGA Memes, that's the one that I've like kept myself to
So
continue to
you still
run.
do that one?
Yeah. And, I know it's going to get to a point where I have someone that's creating memes and maybe we get back to more of like 100% as from us. But at this point, it's like we got 900,000 followers on Instagram, like, and a funny meme page that has 10,000 followers comes up with a really cool idea. I have no
Hmm.
problem sharing that because, yeah, their audience of 10,000 might have seen that. But if we go out to 900,000, it's good content for my audience. It helps that small page grow, and maybe they can develop it into something like I have over the next few
Yeah,
years.
that's how you help Molly. I know when we before we had our business, the actual marketplace, I started the page just to be a part of the community. You shared a couple things for us, helped us, and that's exactly what happened. On that note, I have a question for you, almost like a tangent, but not really. But as someone who uses social media for my business, help others use it for strategy and digital marketing, where do you see like this, like where we're at right now? Like I've seen the uptick in reels and TikTok and that taking off, and like do memes still have a place in the social media world today, or is that kind of like a few years ago and phasing out? Like, what do you think? Like, how do you if you had to start right now, if you're starting right now, having to grow a page, how would you do it?
Yeah, it would certainly be different than what it was a few years ago. I think you definitely have to be nimble, and you've got to be open minded to a bunch of different ideas. Everything you come up with is not going to work, but I think you have to get creative with the reels, the trends. I think you have to look at other audiences though. Like, don't just look at the other golfers that are in the space or other golf brands. You got to look at other brands that maybe tie into like your core values or what you want to be in the future, and look what they're doing. And you can find versions within what they're doing and recreate. You don't have to recreate the wheel, but you can kind of put a twist on it that
Yeah,
embodies maybe more of who you are and maybe what you're capable of, and
right.
go from there. And that's one thing that I would say that I did. It's not like I'm the smartest guy in the room and like recreated a wheel here and did anything. I saw a space that was empty that I could step into and just and go from there. And I for me, like, reels are super important, especially with content that I do for clients on the media side, and when I promote shows or new episodes, like those are super important. And I think
Hmm.
they're going to help viewership and just help gauge the quality of really
Yeah,
what content you're putting out there. But memes certainly have a place. I mean, you see it right now where memes are used in all walks of life. I mean, you see celebrities posting memes, you see politicians posting memes, you see different sports teams posting memes, and you even have big brands. Their whole pages are meme pages. I mean, like
yeah.
Slim Jim is one, Bud Light,
McDonald's has a lot of memes. Yeah,
McDonald's
yeah,
does memes, Taco Bell. Like, I mean, like, so it's a way of like it. Memes are just so awesome because they like it's like a fun way of marketing to a group where you can make it relatable to the individual. And so I think video has definitely become
Well,
bigger in
sorry
the
to
meme
not
space.
not to
But
interrupt you, but dude, like you're right, man. Like I think this is important for people to know. Not only they're relatable, but because they're relatable, they're shareable. Like you're like not there's not very often when you see maybe like a golf clip, even though we can't share a lot of them now. Or let's just say like an inspirational photo of like a vintage whatnot. Like they may get shared, but you don't know if your friends are going to relate to them. But like memes are often they're so relatable that you share them. And I think
yeah,
that's the key, at least for us early on, is that when they get shared, that's just more visibility, more impressions on your page, your brand, your who you are. I think like that's just got to be I mean, when I know in my side of work and consulting, I always have this TIE acronym. It's teach, inspire, entertain. Right.
yeah.
So if you can teach someone something, it'll get shared. If they're inspired by something, it'll get shared. And if it's entertaining, it'll get shared. But that's what you've done really well, bro. I mean, like you pretty much hit all of those in mainly the entertainment bucket, and like the sharing is critical for growth.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, I'll tell you, yesterday I posted a meme that Tom Brady, like, was like a tweet about making fun of Tom Brady, kind of saying that he purposely retired to get divorced and
Yeah,
now he can play golf for the rest of his life. Okay, well, it's got like 55,000 likes, only 300 comments, but it's been shared 175,000 times privately. That's
105. Wait, what?
175,000 times. So the funny thing about that is like, obviously there's a lot of like maybe married guys that can relate to that joke or something like that that don't want to like it or comment, but they'll share it with like their group chat or something like that. and joke about that. But like that's the power of a meme is like you find something relatable that
Yeah.
you either like you don't have to necessarily like live and die by that or truly believe in it, but it just has that underlying tone of humor that you all can relate to that you're like, hey, check this out, or hey, this reminds me of Michael or Travis, like, and we all laugh at that person or something like that. But like
Right.
that's the thing that's so powerful is they get shared so much. And um yeah, it's crazy. But one of the ways I grew so quickly too, this is kind of something that a lot of people don't know. Zyre Golf and PGA Memes were literally like the exact same size until about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. And maybe we were a little bigger. There was this like thing on Instagram where like when you were private, if your post was shared, it showed you who it was and it said like, do you want to follow it to see? Well, PJ Memes is a great username. I was followed by all the pros like Justin Timberlake, bunch of big people, stuff like that, and you could see that. So like, let's call it 7, 8 out of 10 times people are going to follow. So I was growing like several thousand followers a day. But I made the switch at one point to make my page more of a platform and monetize it. And when you do that, brands often want to see your insights, your statistics, but when you're private, you can't see those. And I just turned it off. I went public and my growth went down to like 300, 400, 500 a day, 600 a day or whatever, which is still phenomenal. But like compared to thousands, so like that's where you see like Zyre is now at like 1.4 and like don't get me wrong, from a vanity standpoint and like just reach, you definitely want to be over a million followers, but I had to make that business decision to open it up and then I can show brands like the return and the reach that they're getting and that's why
Mhm.
they invest money in what you're doing. And so but it's funny to see like the shares are still just like enormous, like the amount of
Yeah.
numbers. And that's what always cracks me up is like what types of posts garner more viewership or impressions off
Yeah.
shares versus actual likes and comments.
I'll just speak for ourselves here. I mean, we're trying to do a lot of education for the marketplace and the platform for Mully on the Mully side. So we're still making memes as when it's appropriate or it's applicable. But I remember I was in an Uber and there was like a what's in the bag for Ricky Fowler. I think it was at the Amex Open in the desert. I'm
Mhm.
like, Ricky's got a mallet putter now. He's got cavity back blades. He's wearing glasses. And like literally, I made a meme on the story, like just, and I used and I put it out there. I mean, I'm trying to share like cool clubs in the marketplace that'll get, we have 25,000, 26,000 followers that are getting like 1% maybe adoption, like likes. And then I'll share one meme and it goes off. So anyone out there listening, I mean, I really do think if you're starting out, memes are the most relatable, or any form of meme, any form of a meme, it could be anything relatable. That's going to help you springboard. Because I
Yeah.
agree with you, Trav. Like when you get into the more of like the business side of things, people don't, I know you were talking about the analytics and the insights, but like even when you're starting to post like stuff about what your company is doing, it's just a different form of content.
Yeah, 100%. And like people love humor. I mean, they already have a serious day they're dealing with. Everyone has their own like
Yeah.
drama they bring to the table or like the struggles that they face. And so when they do get on their phone and they do scroll through their feed, they don't want to just be constantly sold
Right.
products and
Right.
services. Like they want to see
100%.
humor and things that they can laugh at to makes them escape from reality. And so that's one thing with memes is like, and that's where brands have adopted. They'll spend millions of dollars on TV commercials and all this stuff. But if they can find a way to work with creators or meme pages, they can find a way to like subliminally advertise to these audiences or directly advertise to these audiences, but do it through underlying tones of humor and comedy that can be relatable to the individual. It's huge. And then they spend obviously enormously less than what they would for TV, and it's a win for everybody. So it's funny how that's changed with marketing, and I don't foresee it changing really anytime soon. But I think video and obviously just the more creative you are, the more that you take time to be creative, the better it
Yeah.
is. I mean, so the mistake I've seen and kind of going back, I think on one point is I do see a lot of these meme pages starting that are out there, and that's great. But all they are is just posting my memes or someone else's memes. That's their whole identity. And then they follow like 7,000 people and, maybe they get 7,000 back or they get 10,000. And it's like, my question to them is like, what are you trying to do? Like, do you want to just run a meme page and like tell your buddies you have a meme page and you've got X amount of thousand followers or what? Like, to me, like, that's fun, and like I did start this just as a hobby and for fun, but like ultimately it becomes a lot. Like you now have this like thing that's just growing and growing, and it takes time away from like family or work or whatever. So it's like my question is like, what do you want to do? Like, what's your purpose? And if you have a purpose and you want to create a show or do events or gain like, you know, I don't know, respect in the golf community with like some of the athletes or media or whatever, you have to get some level of creative and do stuff of yourself and like show
100%.
who you are, because you're just like basically a mesh of everybody else, and no one's going to be really interested or tied to that. So that's a big mistake I see like a lot of like younger guys making that are starting pages out there today, is they have no identity.
Yeah, the identity is a critical part if you're going to go down this rabbit hole of or venture, to because there's so many voices out there, like you said, and even like the golf jokes are becoming the same depending on like even if your meme or your approach to the meme is unique, but it's about iron covers. Like we've all heard iron covers a million times by now. It's like having a fresh cut at it's probably
But hey,
challenging,
those
which
are
is
always
why you
funny,
see.
man. Anyone here is
Yeah.
it, get a straight ticket to hell, I think.
But this is why you see, I think I see reels now, like reels being a massive form, because it's almost like meme 2.0. You can make, and by the way, and I mean, I don't know how you feel about this, Travis, but it's for myself, to make, how do I say this? The quality of reels and the quality of TikTok short form video now is so elevated. You see so many, I see so many different handles and different brands right now using those short form videos, and they're spending a lot of time and probably investing money into them. Like to make those has got to be challenging. No?
Oh, 100%. I mean, there's some people who are just like unbelievably creative, man. I could tell
Oh
you
my
like
God.
some of my friends that like Coach Rusty, Ryan Rustan, I think he's probably the most creative and talented guy out there. Like the stuff he does and like some of the I mean, now with his art stuff that he's doing, but like the creativity that he does with some of just the ads that he does for brands, it's just like blows my mind. And he comes up with these ideas himself and he edits them himself, and it like he's just crazy talented, man, like unbelievable. And you see
Unbelievable.
a bunch of other people like him that do stuff, and it's amazing to see, but like they put in that extra work, and that's
Yeah.
what sets them apart. That's what makes them different from everybody else. I mean, i'm I'm definitely on the older age of the spectrum, and I've got a family and
Same.
stuff, so like
Yeah.
I'm not like out there making reels and TikToks myself, and that's where I find myself like repurposing other people's content that I find very humorous and creative.
Yeah.
And one of the steps that I want to go into this year too, to kind of share some forward thinking strategy, is this is really a team building year for me. I've got a lot of great brands in the golf space. We have a lot of production that we're going to be planning on for the new year, and so I've really spent a lot of time building my team that can help bring that video stuff to life. And so I've
Yeah.
got a full time set of people, and I want to start bringing in like full time real brand ambassadors that mutually we can benefit one another. Bring them in on sponsored content ideas, way for them to monetize, what they're doing, and but also give them a platform like a PGA Memes to where
Yeah.
they can be a host or a co-host or be a part of something bigger. And for me, I want to try to find opportunities for like-minded people that I enjoy working with, and maybe it's something that can just write off for many years to come, or maybe it's a one and done or two-year done type of thing, and they move on to bigger and better things, and that's cool. But at the end of the day, I think this is the year where I'm really trying to build out that type of stuff, because like I said, I never wanted this to become anything really about me. And I do want to be a part of certain things. Like I want to continue to do like the home course stuff and a couple things, but there are a lot of great shows and things that we're planning to produce this year that I don't really want to be in. Like, and I don't really have the time to do it all. So like,
Right.
to me, it's like, how can I find somebody that's, you know, someone's going to like, they're personable on camera, they can do well with some of these celebrities and athletes and stuff, and we can make this a really great show that's going to
Right.
benefit not only them, myself, and hopefully the guests that we bring on, and then hopefully the golf world enjoys the content and views in on it.
Well, bro, I think you're great on camera. I mean, I've seen all the home courses. Jason Days, I loved. Like that was a great episode. Um, I think Cam Smith's still my favorite, just because he seems so chill. Like I feel like you guys were just hanging out on that day.
We got
You know.
hammered, by the way. So I've gotten drunk on pretty much most of these episodes.
What was
Like,
your favorite? What was your favorite? I'm sure you're gonna say all of them, but like still, if you had to pick one.
no, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's been something special with all of them for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
The Jason Day one was cool because him and I have become very tight, and like he's obviously just got a special property. It's like there's like one of 5 people in this world that have a property like Jason Day.
Oh yeah, it's insane.
So that was really special, and that was the first. So that's always
Hmm.
going to
Hmm.
mean the world to me. Um, the Cam Smith one was just tons of fun because it was like one of the boys. Like we showed up and he
Yeah.
started just making drinks. Like he has a little bar area in the front. He made me like 2 different types of drinks, and at that point we'd met a few times, but like never really hung. And so this was
Can I
like,
tell you my favorite part about that episode? By the way,
what's that?
bro, like the whole thing is genius. If you guys haven't seen it, please go and like stop even listening to this right now and just go there and just watch it. But like I remember he's taking you through like some of his wins and like his victories, and then you're like, so what's next? And by the way, this is before the British Open. Or the Open Championship. This is before the Players. Okay, this is before that.
Yeah.
And like I think he's got like his tricked out Nissan R, whatever that is, and he's like, "This is my baby." And you fast forward now, he's got his Lambo now. He asking these questions like, "What's next?"
Yeah.
And you're like it's so crazy. It's like, bro, that happened like right after. So
Yeah.
you're
No,
his good luck charm. Cam, if you're listening, go hang out with Travis more.
it's been good. He won the Sony Players, the Open, and then he won again at Live, and then he was obviously the center of a lot of like media and controversy when he signed with Live. But yeah, his original video did well, and then with each of those wins, it just blew it up, and now it's like over 1.6 million views or something. It's incredible. But yeah, I mean, all of them have been great. I mean, John Daly was an amazing experience. Him and I got to know each other over the last year or so, and like, just I thought my interview with John was a little different than some of the other interviews people have done with John. We got to like some more of the serious side of him a little bit, but also
Mm-hmm.
had some fun. But that was a great moment for me, and I mean, they've all been great. So, and we've got a few more that we're about to air one with Taylor Gooch that we did. We went up to Oklahoma City, and we're going to air that probably tomorrow. And that was really cool to see. And he was one that like easily could have been like, "Hey, let's just wait till my new home is built." But he's like, "No, come up. Let's do my current house, and then I'll take you to my new house. It's going to be finished soon, but I'll take you over
How
there." And
cool!
so
How
it's kind of a
cool!
cool look to see where it's at. And then he's already committed to do a new episode when the new house is finished next year. So yeah, it's been really cool, man. And like, I'm always going to be appreciative of a player or their family that's going to let us into their home and see a little bit of their private life. But my main goal for that wasn't to like make PGA Memes like have this wildly successful show. Like my
Yeah,
goal going into that was, how can I create a win-win for players? And by meaning that is, I personally as a viewer like don't really love watching golf on TV, and I don't know much about these players. You see them on TV and they're super serious, they're dialed in, they're playing for money, they're playing for FedEx Cup points, world ranking points, whatever it is, right? And then the interviews after play are stale. Same questions all the time. Like, course conditions were tough, blah blah blah. It's like the same shit.
who are they?
Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
like and a few of them stand out on social media a little bit, but most of them don't really do social media. They have like a company that runs it for them. And but when I got out there more and more, I'm like, dude, these guys are awesome. Like some of the guys who I thought were like very vanilla turned out to be the funniest and most witty people that I've ever met. And so for me with the show, I was like, how can I like create a opportunity that's genuine and not produced by like the PGA Tour, that can show each of these people in their private life and what they do and the charity
yeah.
work they do and like their hobbies, and so that's what's been cool. Like the Leishman episode was awesome because I got to show his love for like taking care of his lawn, but also we went over and looked at his brewery, and
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
fascinated and loves beer, and like
And the
to
Pat
see that
Perez
whole
one too.
experience. He like, dude, he gained tons of people who like started following him and became fans of him because they're
Yeah,
like, I didn't know Leash was like that. What a stud,
yeah.
and like to be able to help create that kind of platform from like, I don't know. I mean, I think he's appreciative of that. And, I think that they enjoyed filming it, but like, that's what's cool to me is like creating an opportunity like that where like they can win as well. And we can help plug whatever they need to do as well and not make it like sponsor driven. Like, here's my Lexus, 'cause I'm sponsored by Lexus. It's just, here's the foundation I started. This is where we started in the golf world. It didn't always come easy to us. And getting to hear those stories, kind of like what you're doing with this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you saying that, and I think it's great work too, bro. I mean, even the Pat Prezos, when I was going to say, like the raw look and the authentic take into who these people are. That's not sponsored. That's not coded with the tour or coded with the sponsor angle. It's pretty rad because I think, speaking from as a consumer of golf, right, I'm the golf content. Um, you know, as a single digit handicap, I can hit a ball really well. I can maybe relate to a couple of these players on like a putt, draining a 50-foot putt for birdie, or like some of that stuff. But you can't relate to them when it comes to their lifestyle. Like these guys are playing for millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, like, and then when they win, like take Cam Smith, like seeing the trajectory of his career, and like you kind of want to see inside of that. It's like, like abundance is abundant. It's great, but like I'm not like that lifestyle is something that just it's sweet to see. Like we
Yeah.
want to see it. You've given us a view into that.
Yeah. It's cool to see too on the high end of like the guys who do go all out and buy the crazy stuff, but it's also cool to see like Gooch, like his new home is going to be incredible, but his current home that he's in now is like what you would expect, like your average American, middle class worker to live in, like his
Yeah.
beautiful home in a regular neighborhood, very just like living within his means and stuff. And it was awesome to see that. And I want more of that. And sometimes there's players I talk to that are like, yeah, man, I'm not fit for that show. Like, I just have a normal place and I just have, and I'm like, no, that's what I want to show is like, I think that's pretty cool to see too. Or, hey, here you are, you've made 15, $20 million in career earnings and you play golf for a living, but you live within your means. Like,
Yeah.
I love the story that came out last year, I believe, when Scotty Scheffler went on that run and he'd won like 4 or 5 events, like in such a short period of time. And it came out that he was still driving the Suburban or whatever that he
Yeah.
was driving in college. And I was like, dude, that's like, that kind of stuff
Badass.
is cool. Like I like that stuff. And I think the general population likes that kind of stuff as well. And I'd like to see more of that, but I think the golfers think it's like counterproductive. And I'm like, no, it's not.
So can I ask a controversial question? I don't mean to stir the pot here, but um, as a friend to friend, um, I'm not asking you to pick sides because the whole live PGA thing, right? I'm still praying that there's a way to we can all live in a harmonious world where everyone wins and everyone can play and everyone does it.
Yeah.
But I've noticed like there like you haven't picked sides because I saw you at Farmers, I've seen you at live events. You have views into both camps. You have I know you're a fan of golf growing. Do you think there's a way like is this gonna coexist ever? What are your feelings on that side of thing?
I don't know. There's a lot of people who think that there is or just feels like there should be, but I think it's going to be a long time for anything like that were to happen. I mean, it sucks because like live the concept of live came well before Saudi got involved. I mean, this was an idea that derived from even Greg back in the 90s and even people beyond Greg Norman had this idea. There's lots of brains behind this that came to fruition before the funding ever came to a head. And like obviously that's the big source of tension now is like who's funding it and all that stuff and the moralities behind certain things. And there's a lot of hypocrites involved in those arguments as well.
Mhm.
It's there's a lot of dirty money in this world and stuff. But I could tell you, like I've been involved with um, everyone at Live. They've been gracious, open arms, and have that's something you don't expect at the PGA Tour because obviously there's a lot of things you can or cannot do there. There's a lot of historic history and with a brand like the PGA Tour and what they're trying to do, I get why you'd want to have like your hands on a lot of things and be in control of certain stuff. And so I understand that from a corporate side of things too. But like it's tough because I try to be the Swiss. Like I came into golf at a later age. Like I have no loyalties to the PGA Tour or any certain player or anything like that. Like I don't, and I never will. I just like golf. I enjoy it, and a lot of my friends that I've made over the last few years, a lot of them went over to play at Live,
Yeah.
and I did some content with Greg Norman a few times before he became the Live commissioner, and he was the nicest guy in the world. He was always prompt. He was always responsive, and him and I clicked really well from the onslaught. And so like I have great respect for him, and want to see him do well in his venture, and I think it's great with what he's trying to do and stuff. And he's obviously been faced with a lot of adversity, as of a lot of those players, but they're getting paid very well, and I think that that kind of alleviates their concern of what other people think about them.
Hmm.
But for me, it's tough because, yeah, I want to go to a live event. I want to go to like the match. I want to go to the PGA Tour event. I want to go to, the Barstool Classic or the PGA Memes Challenge. Like, I just like golf. My problem is one thing: is my username is PGA Memes. Now, me sitting in my underwear back in 2018, starting this page, like that's what golf was: PGA, PGA Championship, PGA Tour, whatever. So, like, I started it with that name, and that's where I think I get caught up into the whirlwind here, where people are like, "Well,
Yeah.
dude, you're PGA Memes. Like, why are you at Live? Like, you should be Live Memes." And it's like, listen, I went to a couple Live events last year. I didn't receive $1 from Live last year at all, like, period. So at the end of the day, I'm not Live Memes. I'm not PGA Tour Memes. Like, I'm just trying to be golf, and like obviously we've talked about in the beginning, like trying to do good things in golf, trying to give back to charity, trying to bring golfers together. I've helped a lot of brands along the way, and like just trying to have fun with it all. Like, I'm not trying to pick sides by any means, but I can tell you, like, what Live has done for golf has been some of the best things that have happened in decades. To see like what they're doing now with creators at the PGA Tour, to see some of the access and things they're even giving to the PGA Tour players, to see the new series where purses are elevated and more money's being made by the players and all that stuff. Like, it's all positive things that the Live Golf League has created for golf. And if that hadn't happened, we'd still be back to where we were a year or two ago. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, hope things come together. It'd be great. I don't think that they will for any time soon. I'm just going to continue to try to do what I do, and I'll be at the Waste Management next week for a day or two. I'll be at various PGA Tour events throughout the year, a couple of majors, and I'll be at some of the live events. And it is what it is, man. It's a tough time that we're in, and I don't think those are arguments like we talked about earlier. There's arguments you'll never win, and when the
Yeah.
keyboard warriors come at me, or I mean, I got death threats when I went to a
What?
couple of the, yeah, I got like literally DMs about I hope you and your like I hope you die and blah blah blah. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? Because I attended an event like, I'm sorry, like when someone's going to give me inside the ropes access at an inaugural event where I can go and do whatever I want, where Phil Mickelson and DJ and all these guys are there, like I'm going to go. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, that's a
Yeah.
once in a lifetime of opportunity and memories that I'll always cherish, and great experiences. But like, yeah, people were that serious about it, were like giving me like death threats over it. I'm like, okay, good
You
times.
said something really, yeah, you said something earlier that I didn't touch on, and I mean, I don't know how much time you have, but the bringing golfers together thing and PGA memes, like the events you throw, the challenge. Um, can you talk about that a little bit? Like, because there's a whole segment of growing golf that obviously Mully stands for, I stand for, this podcast stands for, but there's no better way to grow golf than to actually put golfers together.
Yeah, no, there isn't. I mean, you see athletes in the NFL, NBA, when they retire and they do charitable work, they all do it through golf. And golf is just such a great community of people that come together, um, and you see it now where it's more and more inclusive. You've everyone from all walks of life that are participating in golf, and they're trying to find new ways to make it accessible for everybody.
Yeah.
And with PJ Memes Challenge, like they're generally scrambles, sometimes they're shambles, but you don't have to have any different. You don't have to have a certain level of skill set to come play. We've seen it
Yeah.
all, um, and it's been really cool to see creators come together. You see just your average golfers come together and get to meet their favorite creator, and like we have a lot of like celebrities or pro athletes that have started to be a part of these, and I do them
What's
now.
it? Yeah, what's it like, dude? Like you show up there, like what's it like? Your average Joe, you've got, your Paige Brennings of the world, you've got a bunch of people. It's like, is it just everyone gets along? It's a fun time, or is it like segregated? Everyone like high school dance? Like what's it like?
No, I mean everyone's just right there, man. I mean, it's not many places you can hide. So you go there and you do your thing, and then you go play. And obviously, we're courteous to depending on who the celebrity is. I mean, we're courteous, obviously, who they play with and who's behind them and stuff. Because we don't want
Hmm.
fanboys or fangirls like bothering them all day. But some of them hang around the after party and cut it up and break bread with everybody and are part of it. And some may cut loose a little earlier, but we've had some major names that have been participants in it, which has been incredible. And I mean, that's how we've been able to give back to the charity through various donations from brands for the raffle, the silent auction stuff, and then obviously having notable figures that come out and participate helps drive ticket sales for the event. And it's been pretty cool. I've developed a lot of friendships with other creators, just average Joe golfers that have
Hmm.
attended multiple events, brands that are just getting started. This is the best way to work with PGA Memes in terms of like a brand, because if you're going to do posting with us and stuff, generally now we're limiting that to more like 6 to 12 month partnerships, to where we can kind of limit who we work with and be a little bit more selective, so we're not just becoming a walking billboard. But when we
Yeah.
do stuff with PJ Memes Challenge, the entry point and cost is minimal, and it involves a variety of different things that's included. But what's helped is we're helping them while they're there activating with us to help them get digital assets and content that they can use for their branding, and we
Yeah.
get to
It's
kind
a
of know
valuable
them and their
experience.
strategies and stuff. And so there's been a lot of brands that have ultimately become great friends of our brand or great friends of mine that have turned into bigger partnerships and bigger opportunities, which has been pretty cool.
Too. I mean, to even try and recap this, bros, it's intense. You've got the challenge and the events and the meetups. You've got you mentioned briefly that there's a consulting arm of what you're doing too. You help brands in like in their identity or their strategy. What's that about?
Yeah, so I own a marketing company called 59 Media, and it's just golf right now. I mean, it could evolve into more than golf, but I want to just keep it simple. But we represent one of the PGA Tour players and do their digital branding, and then we represent a major golf brand that has 12 domestic properties and like 18, I think, worldwide. And then
Wow.
we have a new app that started up last year that provides virtual golf lessons and instruction, that's emerged and is becoming pretty big. And then a beverage company, and so we do all their digital marketing, their social media, video photo shoots and stuff for them. And then part of my role in all that is just strategy and helping them with that, because I mean that's what I did in my previous life, is just help my partners with their sales and marketing strategies. And that was one thing that I felt like was missing in what I was doing with PJ Memes, was like I
Hmm.
was doing everything for my brand and what we were building, but I could look at a company oftentimes and be like, hey, maybe you could do this or this a little differently, but it's like, why bother saying anything? And, or like, why immerse yourself in something there? It's just going to consume you with more work or time or whatever.
Yeah.
And also, when you're in a consulting role, you toe the line too of like personally offending someone or whatever. And so when I started working with, really, it started working with the player, started doing that, and everything kind of started falling where more and more people were starting to want to work and do stuff with me. And then the PJ Memes Challenge events and some of the sponsor stuff that I've done has opened doors to where I'm like, hey, let me talk to you on the side real quick. Like, and I'll just give people oftentimes like just candid advice or strategy ideas just as a friend. And some of those have just turned into like, well, hey, like, what do we do to become a client? Like, what does that
Yeah.
look like?
Yeah.
And like, to me, like, this is fun and it's blown up. Like, the book of business I have is like crazy with the companies and the reach that we have with it, but at the same
Hmm.
time it's not my driving force. It's not what I'm like, that's not number one right now. I don't want to grow that thing too big too fast, so I'm just like,
Right.
let's work with who we have and do exceptional work and grow from there. And as we bring on more talent, more people that work with us, maybe we can bring on more clients and help them in return. But yeah, so it's been pretty cool to do that, and it's I found really good synergies with what I do with PGA Memes and this marketing company. And so it's just made, a whole new vertical of making a source of income, but
Yeah.
also just building the community of people within PGA Memes. And it's been cool, man. It's been a lot of fun. It's actually made everything that I'm doing right now far more enjoyable than what it was like a year ago.
Yeah. It's funny how fast things take off too, like how things evolve and progress and just mature. Once you
Yeah.
start it, it's kind of like a roller coaster ride. So two final questions, then I promise to let you go because I'm really curious about these two. So I know you got two little ones, right?
About
Two
four
kids.
kids actually. Yeah.
Four kids now. Oh my
Yep.
gosh, that research was wrong. I got to fact check that one. First question. So obviously the answer is obviously you're a family guy, and I'm sure they're your priority. But you mentioned the marketing side not being the priority for work on the work side, right? So what is the focus now? Like if you had to stand 5 years from now, what's one thing you really want to do with the PGA Memes brand or the business side of things?
I don't know if it's 5 years, but ultimately I want to build it to where we've got four, at least four, maybe five verticals that are driving in a good source of income that can all stand on their own feet. And then I'd like to sell it. Like, honestly, that my vision in that is like, and maybe it's a two tier process where I sell something initially where it's a healthy portion of the company that fuels something where it's just a very strong strategic partner, like Barstool's done with the casino, or something like that, that can take it from being, a 20,
Mm-hmm.
$30 million company to $100 million company. Like that could be maybe the first step, or then maybe eventually it could be just like a complete exit out of it and say, hey, here's this platform and all the things it does. It doesn't really need Travis Miller or whatever. And like, I wash my hands of it. And really where I'd like to be doing work in that 5 to 10 year span is on the marketing side. Like I find that is something that is, I'm very passionate about it. I love helping people. I like seeing other people win and me being part of those victories. And there's a lot of money that you can be made in that, but there's a lot of things that, a lot of gratitude that comes with it as well. And
Yeah.
the longevity of that is something that stands the test of time
Yeah.
versus a meme page. Like
I,
so that's where I'm at with it. And then also like building the marketing and media company is something that I feel like can stand the test of time to where in 10 years, 20 years, like my kids or, people within my extended family or my friends or whatever can be a part of that. And that could be a piece of something that they can grow or build in with me versus, the meme page, which, you know, it's superseded my expectations to this point. So maybe it can continue to do that, but I'm just being kind of realistic with myself that like,
yeah.
hey, you got two ponies in this race. Maybe you pick this one over the other.
Yeah. I applaud you and all that. We've talked off camera, and I'm going to say this so publicly so everyone can hear it. Travis, you're just such a good dude, and you've helped me and Mully so much out of the kindness of your heart. You definitely are one of those guys who believes that a rising tide raises all boats, and you've had such a tremendous impact in golf. And I think any brand right now that's riding the wave is you've had a colossal impact on that dude, like a colossal. And you have always welcomed any opportunity to work with Mully, and we've approached you a couple times. We've done a couple things together, and I want everyone to know you're such a stand up man, and you really do want the best for everybody. So when you say that's not bullshit, when you say you want people to win, um, Mully and our friendship even is an exact definition of that, dude. You have always been that. So I just want to thank
Thanks.
you, dude,
No,
personally.
I appreciate that, man. No, I think more people need to think, especially in the golf space, it's really small. That's one thing I've learned too over the last few years is it's a small space. So I think it's important that you don't always just think about yourself. Think about the other people. Don't think short term. Try to think long term. And
Yeah,
listen, like you're going to get burned, right? Like you're always going to get burned in life, and there's nothing you can do about it besides learn. Like you can learn, and you give people second chances and stuff. But at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of people that are just in it for themselves, and will take what you can give them, but it won't be reciprocal. And just take notes, keep the receipts, do what you need to do. But at the end of the day, be someone who's trying to think, for more than just yourself. All tides do rise together. And I feel
yeah,
like if you have more people in your corner when times get tough or you need them for certain things, they're going to be there to lift you up. They're going to be there to help you or hype you up or in whatever you need. And they're not going to ask for anything in return. And that's, I've learned that a long time ago before the golf space stuff. But like, that's just how I think people business like should be, how they should approach things.
yeah, bro. I've met in the wow 4 years I've been in this space. I've definitely met some, let's just for lack of a better word, some selfish people in this space that it's just
You
what's in
have,
it for me, and and you're not one of them. You're clean. And when I first met you, I was like, oh, there's PGA Memes, and we're nothing. And you're like, hey, how can what's great stuff? How can I help you? Like, I'm like, what? Like, so I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely, dude. So, no, I appreciate you having me on, telling some of these
No,
stories,
wait, you're
man.
not done yet. I got one more question, bro.
Oh, you got one
Then
more.
then
Oh,
then we'll
go.
finish. Well, we got one more question. Um, so this is another big one. So, dude, the accomplishments you've had with PJ Memes and as Travis Miller, as a marketer, as a strategist, all within the golf space, you've built multiple businesses. You built a parent company that houses all this. You have a reputation. You have your personal brand. You've got like golf has given you. Look around. I'm sure I see in your backdrop. I see the Sand Valley poster back there. I see some golf stuff back there. Golf is around you. Golf has given you a lot.
Mhm.
So I guess the question is, if you had to summarize it, if you had to like write golf a thank you letter, if you had to, first of all, who in your camp, I'm sure your wife, your family, your kids, all deserve a special thank you. So the question directly, how do you define golf? Like what thanks do you give it? Like when you stop to think about it and look around, what's that like? What's that sentiment that you have? And then who would you want to thank in and around your camp right now for where you're at?
I mean, obviously, the first and foremost, I just thank my wife and family. I mean, at the end of the day, like they put up with a ton for me to have to do this. I mean, I have to travel a lot. I'm constantly working 24/7, and it hasn't always been on. There's highs and lows with that. So like, credit goes back to them for sure to put up with this and be a part of the ups and downs and just to support me through it. And it's one of those things that's hard for people to understand what it is that I even do anyways, So it's like, what do you do? Like, it's like you fight through that. It's like, oh, I run PGA Memes. But obviously them first and foremost, my wife. And then, I mean, Joe Gilliland, who represents me as my agent, business manager, like he's given me so much insight as to like, um, how this space works. I mean, I'm this idea and creative guy, but at the end of the day, my nature of the business and marketing I came from is far different than what this is. And so he opened
Yeah.
my eyes. He was really a trailblazer in the sense of working with some of the first creators like the Brian Bros when they started off doing sponsored content and stuff. And so he had a lot of he was in touch with a lot of that, and I've learned so much from him and now his teammate Josh. And but golf in general, when I put it together in one word, it's just family. Like that's really what it comes down to. It's like I've been at Sage Valley, which is like primo, like Augusta type, like, then I've been to the Muni down the street. And it's funny that each and every one of us, depending on what level we are, there's this common denominator of like the love of golf and people wanting to help each other, and that the charity aspect behind it. And everyone wants to, I know, grow the game is real cliche and stuff. And like, I don't squarely feel like I'm responsible for growing the game, but I feel like everyone a part of it does want to contribute to it in one way or the other. And so, yeah, if I summarize golf in one word, it's definitely just family. And it's truly been that for me. And I've cultivated so many great relationships at different levels and different types that I'm forever grateful for.
Well, my friend, I can't think of a better way to pause it on that note because I definitely want you back on in months' time. I'll say it again. You are an inspiration to me, myself, my business, Mully, the users. I don't think we'd be where we're at without your contributions in the beginning of getting the marketplace up and going. That's a fact. Um, quick fun fact. I think the funniest thing I've ever read on PJ Memes was a comment. This must have been 3 or 4 years ago when I think you were finally putting your face on stuff and someone goes, it looks like Dustin Johnson and Austin Johnson had a biological kid and it's you. And I was like, what? So,
Yeah.
people are savages out there.
Dude, I've been, so like, it's funny. I fluctuate in my weight a lot, and when I'm like my skinniest, people are like, "You look like Dustin Johnson," and when I'm like medium, they're like, "You look like Brooks Koepka," and then when I'm the chubbier, and they're like, "You look like John Rahm." I'm like,
you're,
oh, okay.
you're chameleon in the golf space, bro.
Yeah, it's
Um,
like everyone's always trying to find out who you look like, and I'm
yeah,
like,
dude.
let
You
me
show like,
stop.
and I think with this lighting, you got like a Max Homa shade going on right now. You got a
I
Max
got one
Homa.
too, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm a mix of everybody. We're all brothers
Bro,
from different
I
backgrounds.
can think of worse guys to look like than the people mentioned there. But I'll actually be in Tucson at the Live event in Tucson. You gonna be at that one?
I should be there. Hopefully, we'll see.
Well, dude, we had a lot of fun hanging out in Nashville when you were in town. So hopefully we have some tequilas in our future. But Travis, man, from the bottom of my heart, dude, on behalf of the golf community, thank you for everything you do. Thank you for everything you've created, and look forward to all your creations in the years to come.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks, brother. I'll talk to you soon. All right, bye.